We have just finished it, and I'm in my mind a lot of discussion, but not exactly all the conclusions. But in any case, I will try to summarize, based on my presentation, what are the main conclusions of all of our working group. The first question that we have discussed yesterday was about what we consider in our group, because as I explained it yesterday, when we talk about mushroom and truffle, we talk about 1,000 of species present in Europe. And we talk about, but fortunately, we need to consider also these species that are important. But important is also not so easy it's not so an easy criteria, because we need to consider economical importance, ecological importance, social and recreational importance, and combination of all of those. No? And we have discussed about the criteria for considering the importance. For example, the distribution, if we consider also the species that are European-wide distribution, or we consider also the regional distribution. The uses, if we consider marketed species or edible, but not yet marketed species. If we consider, for example, some species that are not so important now, but we are sure that because they have, for example, some medicinal purpose that we are investigating now, that in a few years they will be an important mushroom species, for example. So we have discussed a lot about this. We have discussed another criteria, for example, the markets, those usually traded, those picked as food but not necessarily traded, because this means that if we focus on our surveillance only in the market statistics, or we have an open questionnaire for everybody. No? It's important to define this criteria. And we have discussed a lot about this criteria, and we agreed that maybe the best approach is to ask the country representatives for a simple questionnaire without limiting what it means important. So then we will check, we will consult with, we will prepare a template, we will submit to the country representative, and then we will filter all the answers. We expect that 80 and 90% of the mushroom and truffles identified as important for, at the country level will be the same. And only few species will be important at country or regional level. So then we have started discussing the interaction, cell by cell interaction between our working group and the task force, in order to have inputs for the common approach between working groups and task force. Well, identifying the first task one was identifying and describing existing and good forest products. We decided to request representative, as I have just explained it. Related to the identification and ecology, we have defined what are the main factors that should affect the emergency of the mushroom and truffles carpophores. We agreed in three main groups: local site characteristics, altitude, slope, aspects, or variables, stand structure, tree species, stand density, stand age, climatic variables, precipitation and temperature. And we have decided, after discussion, to add soil disturbance and man-made activities. For example, forest treatments, forest fires, so another type of factors that could affect the fruit body emergency. Related to the mushroom and truffles models, related to the models, we know that they have a relatively recent publication of the Rafael Calama and colleagues of a review of modeling on good forest products in Europe. Then maybe in this case we need also to update this data, because we know that new models appeared or are nearly to appear in Finland, in Turkey, maybe in Croatia. So we need to update all this data. We have discussing a lot also of the available data. And we have discussed it if we consider, that is a general question also for all the groups maybe, if we consider also the scientific data or if we consider also the empirical data provided by the experts. So some observation provided by the experts that maybe they don't have classified data, but they have maybe so important observation of the factors affecting the emergency of certain targeted species that they are so valuable. Because maybe in the case of the mushroom pickers, there was some tradition that, for example, one old man goes during all his life in one specific forest, his forest. And he knows very well in his mind all the records of the mushrooms that appears in this forest and the factors that maybe affects to this. And it's a good comment and good data that maybe we need to consider in order after that to have a scientific question in order to check if it is correct or not. So after this discussion, we have decided to include this type of information. And of course, to try to categorize the scientific data, scientific available data based on permanent plots. Related to management, we agreed that they have some management guidelines relatively well established in the case of cultivated species, for example, black truffle, but not yet in the case of wild mushrooms. So we have discussed also if we consider practical recommendations provided by the managers, forest owners, in addition to the sound science. We agreed that we consider, we have an open mind, yeah, and we consider all this. We agreed also to consider best practice, not necessarily guidelines, well-established guidelines. We consider too also the best practices. We will ask country representative about this type of recommendation, and we will consider available documents not necessarily wrote in English. And related to the economy, and this is the last point, so we don't have a lot of time for discussing. So maybe in this case, we will consider mushroom as a single group. In some specific case, we'll consider individual species, and we try to prepare a template according with the task force leader about this type of requested information. So maybe related to the short scientific mission, we talk about this now, or this should be a...
Yeah, I mean, if it's a brief comment...
Yeah, just a brief comment that we think that maybe we need to open the focus of the purpose of the short scientific missions, that maybe now is, so we need to think more about the type of the outcomes, and maybe will be more related to the analyzed data, and maybe it's better to open the focus of the short scientific missions. Okay, and we don't have any specific topic related to the training schools. So thank you very much.